So here's another example, and if we see this expression, remember I is the square root of -1, and we can't have the square root in the denominator of a fraction. That's one of our no-nos, so we have to rationalize the denominator. We rationalize the denominator by multiplying by the conjugate, just like we do with radicals. So our conjugate is going to be 4 plus 3i. So just multiply the top and the bottom by the conjugate. Now when you do that, the top, and just leave the top alone, that's what's going to be 8i times 4 plus 3i. And then the bottom, we'll multiply this out, and then this is interesting the way the conjugate works, because like when they're radicals, it rationalized, it's going to rationalize this and take care of the I. Now watch how this works. 4 times 4 is 16. And then we've got outside terms, positive. 4 times 3 is 12i, so plus 12i. But the inside terms are going to be negative 12i. And those are opposites, so that would be 0. And then we've got a positive times a negative. This is going to be negative. 3 times 3 is 9. And I times I is I squared. But remember, I squared equals -1. So now if we write this over here, this is going to be equal to 8i all over 4 plus 3i. And this is going to be 16. These become 0. And this is -1. So this is -9 times -1, which just makes this +9. So this ends up being 8i times 4 plus 3i all over 25. Now we can multiply out the top because we want to get this in standard form. So I'm going to have 8 times 4 is 32i. And then 8 times 3 is 24. But I times I is I squared. There's our -1 again, all over 25. So this is going to be the same thing as 32i. And this is -1, so just -24, all over 25. Now if we want to write this in standard form, we're going to reverse these. So we'll write this as -24 plus 32i all over 25. And then to get it into standard form, it would be -24 over 25 plus 32 over 25. We break that up. Both over 25 and then I. And there's your standard form. So it's really easy to rationalize the denominator, but then if you have to put the answer in standard form, it's a little trickier, so it's a little more work. But that's probably, as interesting a problem as you have here. We'll try another one. This is number 33 off the worksheet. So here's this is another good one. Let's try number 37. So here's an example. This is number 37. 3 minus 4i all over 4 plus 3i. And we want to rationalize this and put it in standard form. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the conjugate, which is going to be the denominator's conjugate. So it's going to be 4 minus 3i. Now once we have that, okay, the top, we probably want to multiply this out because I don't think we're going to have any simplified because we've got all this stuff going on. So we'll multiply the top using the FOIL. What's 3 times 4 is 12. And then I've got -9i and -16i. 4 times 4 is 16. And then finally a negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 4 or 4 times 3 is 12. And I times I is I squared. And in the bottom we've got 16. And then we've got -12i and +12i. Oops. And then a positive times a negative is a negative. 3 times 3 is 9. I squared, remember I squared is negative 1. We've got some negative 1s going on here. So now let's simplify this. So we've got 12. And negative 9 and negative 16 is negative 25i. And this is going to end up being negative 12. Because I squared is negative 1. So negative 1 times 12 is negative 12. Oh, looky here. They just zero out. That's interesting. Okay, and in the bottom we've got, these are opposites. So we just have 16. And I squared is negative 1, so negative 1 times 9 is positive 9. So we end up with these 12s become 0, 12 minus 12, so we have negative 25i all over 25, and that just ends up being negative I. So that worked out quite nicely, although it was a bit of work. So remember, we're going to FOIL things out. 3 times 4 is 12. Negative 9i, negative 16i, and positive 4 times 3 is 12, I squared, but I squared is negative 1. That's where we get the negative 12. These can't so combine to be negative 25, and that's 12, but 12 minus 12 is 0. In the bottom, 16, negative 12i plus 12i becomes 0, and positive times the negative is negative 9, I squared, but I squared is negative 1, so a negative times a negative is positive 9. Get that nice simplification, so that worked out good. Okay, I hope those will help you.